is, and the Lord said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath. Therefore, he gives you on the sixth day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the seventh day. So the people rested on the seventh day. Exodus 16:28 through 30. It says, after leaving Egypt, Israel was on an unknown journey to the promised land. The people faced a demanding and long trek, and they needed to learn a multitude of new lessons. The Lord would lead and care for them. And yes, he desired to help them grow, but they must learn discipline, self-control, sacrifice, unselfishness, trust in the Lord, and especially obedience. Moses was a visible leader, and the people who had to follow him, his leadership, if they were to triumph. It was crucial for them to stay together, to cooperate as a community, and assist each other. There were many hindrances and challenges ahead. So much of their spiritual growth would depend on how they met those challenges and how they responded to Moses, especially when the challenge became great. You know, it's interesting that we all kind of go through whatever we're going through, but the biggest thing is we have to remember obedience. You know, faith and obedience. That's actually what God's trying to teach the Israelites at that point. But the thing is we all go through stuff. It's just a fact of life. We're all going to go through something. But just think about this. You can't have a testimony without a test. You know, and it's 100% true. We all go through whatever we're going through, but God's never going to put more on your plate than you can handle with his help. But you got to remember that just because your manly body or whatever can't do whatever, God can.
I saw a meme that said, God will never take you where he is not Lord.
Exactly. But the problem is that man will take themselves to wherever, you know, by our choices and circumstances that we usually put ourselves in. And so, I mean, we all got to kind of think on that. It says, the familiar Chinese saying that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step was true. But in their situation, they needed to trust the Lord's direction with every footstep. You know, it's interesting that the distance that they actually traveled, they say is about maybe 2 weeks of travel. But yet, 40 years. Because of the fact that they kept doing God said, go this way. Oh, and yeah, we're going to go this way instead. Well, it's like, that doesn't make any sense, but yet we all do it. You know, we've all done it at least once in our life, if not multiple.
You know, I was thinking of that when you said faith and obedience. They had the obedience part down because they were in slavery for so long. But the obedience part came in survival mode. It wasn't out of faith. Even when they were wandering in the desert, they would rather go back and die in Egypt than to starve or
But
whatever.
at the same token, was it really faith?
No,
It wasn't obedience either, because it was God would say go left, they'd go right, and they kept doing it, and then they'd whine about it. Oh, this is taking too long. Oh.
Well, that's kind of where we are in the world.
Exactly.
God's not going to come until
He's ready.
there's enough people
Well, no,
hearing his voice.
it's more the fact that, you know, I think it's Matthew that where they say, God, when are you coming back? That is not for you to know. It is the Father's time. You know.
I've found in my personal experience that God will always bring up the same situation, circumstance through my life until I get it.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that great? We get to keep taking the same test over and over again until we pass it.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I like that. I like that.
Well, I mean,
Pleasant at all, though, but-
no, it's not. It is, but isn't. It's pleasant because the fact that God's given us another chance. But at the same token, you got to take the same test over and over again until you pass it, so that you can go on to the next test. But at the same token, sometimes we do what the heck? I just take this test? It's horrible. And then we make the same silly mistake, or we'll make a different mistake. God, as it's pointed out, it's a path. It is a narrow path to heaven. And I hate to think about it, but there's that song of Highway to
Hell.
Exactly. And it's true. It's a highway because the path is so big. But yeah, it's a narrow path. I think it talks about, that a rich person going in through the needle of an eye, a camel going through the needle of an eye, of a needle or something like that. Eye of a needle. Sorry. I'm tired and my tongue's getting in the way. All right, so let's talk about Sunday's bitter waters. The biggest thing about it is after all the multitude of blessings and stuff that the Israelites are seeing, one after another, they saw the 7 plagues, or 10 plagues in Egypt. Then they were chased by the Egyptians, and then the Red Sea was parted, washing away the Egyptian army. But yet, and they still complained. Oh, I want meat. I want this. I want. And it's crazy that, I actually heard a great story in reference to that. And it was this guy, he was out of shape, but he wanted this huge rock moved out of the way. And so he got told, okay, push on it every day with all your might for several hours, and the rock will move. So this guy every day goes out there and pushes and pushes and pushes. And every day that rock doesn't move. And then he continues doing this. After a month, he's like, God, I've been doing this for a month. What the heck? And he's like, it's crazy. If he is, look at yourself. And the guy looked like the Greek sculpture of a god, His body was like so transformed because he had been out there pushing. But yet the rock didn't move, but, he did. He grew. He changed. And, we all go through things. Is what is my biggest take on that, Everybody needs prayer. We all need to. We also need to remember that it's not just prayer, but it's communicating with God, communicating with Jesus. And when you need to start your day, I actually heard a sermon said, if you haven't started it, how many times have you ran back into the house because you forgot your keys, your phone, whatever? But shouldn't you run back into the house because you forgot to start the most important communication for the day? All right. So, Larry, can I have you read Exodus 15, 22 through 27?
Exodus chapter
15, 22 through 27, please.
Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. When they came to Moriah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. That is why the place is called dry. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There the Lord made a decree and a law for them, and there he tested them. He said, "If you listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commandments and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." Then they came to Elim, where there was 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water.
You know, it's crazy that we all of us have done the, God, what's going on? It's pure chaos. You know, in this case, it was the Israelites doing that. I need water. I can't drink this bitter stuff. But yet, you know, it was kind of crazy that we're all sitting there. We all go through it. You know, oh God, I can't drink this bitter water. What's going on? I gotta have something to drink. You know, but as Pastor put it, you know, we all go through tests. And God's sometimes going to let us retake that test until we pass it. You know, there's times in school I wish I could have retaken tests, you know. Hey, you get to retake this until you pass it. But then again, could you imagine that? There'd be some kids that'd be in school for 40 years.
All night.
I think one of the reasons why we can become big complainers and become bitter is because we lack thankfulness.
Yes,
If we would be more thankful and grateful for the little things, basic things, we would have less time to complain.
it's true.
You know?
I heard a great phrase in reference to that. It says, what if you only had today what you were thankful for yesterday? I mean, under that same thought, you know, what would you have? Because most people forget that life is not guaranteed.
Right.
You know, the fact that we all got up today, that we were able to, that we're still able to assemble, you know, under the learning of God and who He is. You know, I mean, we all know that it's coming to an end. It's just a matter of where's your faith going to be? Is it going to be in the faith of your hands or His?
Hey, Matthew?
Yes, sir.
I think, at least in my opinion, I think it's a little dangerous for us to assume that this is okay. Because, you know, Christian means Christ-like.
Yes.
And Christ was so grateful to his Father all the time.
Yes.
And if we sit here and we say, well, this is, you know, basically the way of the Christian, I think we're kind of giving ourselves a little bit of a free pass. You know, when we don't bow the knee and thank God for everything
Mm-hmm.
that we're going through, regardless what it is, I don't think we believe that He's there.
It's true. You know, and it's the same token of, you know, are you going to have a relationship with Him or are you going to have a relationship with, you know, the world?
You're complaining.
Exactly. I mean, and the better thing is I love how I heard a phrase, you know, hashtag first world problems, you know. Because, oh man, I went to the store and they didn't have exactly what I was looking for. But the fact that you can go to the store and get food, you know.
That you have the means by which to buy
Exactly.
the food.
You can go and turn a spigot and you're going to have water, most likely.
You know, just a couple days ago, I heard from our beloved Larry here, having one of the worst days of his life. And he still was praising God.
That's good.
Because it could always be worse.
It could always
No
be.
matter how bad it gets.
Exactly. And we already know that it's going to get worse before it gets better.
You know, I got a them when I said they were obedient with no faith, but they were obedient while they were in survival mode with the Egyptians.
Yes.
And we've got to realize they were institutionalized for
Yes.
400 years, so the mentality towards obedience to God through faith is, I'd rather be back in Egypt where I know I'm going to get my 3 meals a day or 2 meals or 1 meal or whatever. Even nowadays, people that are institutionalized, I've heard them say, I want to go back home.
Yeah.
I know where my meal's going to come from.
Exactly.
And that's the mode that they're in, so we got to kind of understand that, how God is bringing them around, but it's hard because they're stubborn.
Oh yeah.
And
But the thing is each and every one of us has been stubborn.
Yep.
Each of us either is or has been stubborn.
I like what Larry just said, because I think that's where we are today as a people. I think we're complacent.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us are reliant on things, and we rely on our jobs, or we rely on the government, and so we are going to go through this very same test these Israelites
Yes.
did. Because we have to have that faith in God when we
Yeah.
can't buy and sell, and when things like, what are you gonna compromise in order to stay comfortable?
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's what you said.
But I think it's interesting that it says, what trials or struggles have you brought upon yourself? What comfort can you get in knowing that God will still work on you, on your behalf, if you cooperate with Him? That's a very powerful little word, if. If you're willing to cooperate with God, then He's gonna bless you way beyond anything you can imagine.
That's a good point, Matthew, because I think God he doesn't say, oh, well, okay, you tried, I guess that's okay. God has a definitive line,
Yes.
and it is up to us. It isn't up to him. It's up to us. He will be there.
Yeah, He gave us free will. He knows which way we're going to go, but, He gave us free will still. And unfortunately, most humans, think that they are going to do it in their way. And, a great example of that is I tried arguing with God before I came to New Mexico. And, God said, look, do you want to end up in the desert for 40 years and not get your blessing? No, sir. You want to end up in the belly of big fish? No, sir. Then what did I say do? So that's when I ended up coming down. It still took several months, though. After I tried arguing and negotiating and compromising with God, it doesn't work. But we've all been there where we're, oh God, if you'll let me do this, I'll do that. But should we? No.
Just let me win the lottery. I'll pay a big tithe.
Exactly. I'll pay a huge tithe. But if you're not paying with a little bit, then why would you pay with a lot of it? I don't think money is evil. I think it's a tool. But it's a matter of if you have love of money versus love of, God. Because the two big commandments that Jesus pointed out, love God with all your heart and love man like yourself. All right. So, Luana, can I get you to read Exodus 16, 1 through 30? We'll say 1 through 18.
He doesn't want you to leave Sonic, baby. He wants you to
Could
try and help the people that are there.
could be. Could be to help them find God.
He's got you in the belly of the fish, right?
Exodus 16,
16.
1 through 18.
16, 1 through 18. Exodus 16. The manna and the quail?
Yes.
Alrighty. So the whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month, after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly
surely to death. Then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days. So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, in the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us? Moses also said, you will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord. Sorry, let me turn off that alarm. Then Moses told Aaron, say to the entire Israelite community, come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling. While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God. That evening quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said to each other, what is it? For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, it is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Each one is to gather as much as he needs. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent. The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some little. And when they measured it by the omer, he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered as much as he needed. Do 18?
Yes.
That's it.
Elaine, can I get you to read 19 through 36?
Are we on Exodus 16?
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Okay. And Moses said, let no one leave any of it till morning. Notwithstanding, they didn't heed Moses, but some of them left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was angry with them. So they gathered it every morning, every man according to his need. And when the sun became hot, it melted. And so it was on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for each one. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. Then he said to them, this is what the Lord has said. Tomorrow is a Sabbath rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and lay up for yourselves all that remains to be kept until morning. So they laid it up until morning, as Moses commanded, and it did not stink, nor were there any worms in it. All the way down?
Yeah, the 36, please.
Then Moses said, eat that today, for today is the Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will be none. Now it happened that some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather, but they found none. And the Lord said to Moses, how long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for the Lord has given you the Sabbath, therefore he gives you on the 6th day bread for 2 days. Let every man remain in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. So the people rested on the 7th day, and the house of Israel called its name manna. And it was like white coriander seed, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. Then Moses said, this is the thing which the Lord has commanded. Fill an omer with it to be kept for your generations, that they may see the bread with which I fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you out of the land of Egypt. And Moses said to Aaron, take a pot and put an omer of manna in it, and lay it up before the Lord to be kept for your generations. And the Lord commanded Moses. So Aaron laid it up before the testimony to be kept. And the children of Israel ate manna 40 years until they came to an inhabited land. They ate manna until they came to the border of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is 1/10 of an ephah.
Thank you. You know, it's interesting that I heard a cute thing. I guess it was Over the Hedge or something like that. It was a cartoon, several years ago, but where where the main character was talking about that, where animals will eat to live, man will live to eat. And it goes into about eating and stuff a lot in the Bible. But the biggest one to remember is in Deuteronomy 8:3. Man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that comes out of the mouth of the Lord. But the thing is how many of us forget that? Like you were pointing out, Pastor, about thankfulness. We should be thankful that we have food, thankful that we have shelter, that we have each other, that we have water. We have a lot of creature comforts because it gets really kind of warm outside. But yet most of us have air conditioners or I forgot the name of the other cooling system in this area, but yeah, that's it. But it's a lot, there's people that don't have that. There's countries that have no idea what anything like that. Their idea of cool is, hey, look, there's a tree. I'm going to go hide under its shade. But yet we forget.
I think it was very gracious of God to feed them manna for 40 years.
Exactly. Especially all the grumbling.
I see they got, they're grumbling about eating just manna and stuff, and one of my biggest things is wondering what manna tastes like. I can't wait to get it.
I know. But the thing is that we're seeing that the Israelites have been complaining this entire time. Because they're not thankful.
They're not thankful.
They're
It's crazy.
it's almost like they're entitled, but not at the same time. As Larry put it, institutionalized. And they were still of that mindset. That no matter what, the master's always going to take care of us. Well, there's some good. I guarantee you there was some people that treated the slaves good. And there was some that treated them like dung. Or either way, they were considered property. They would treat their animals just as good or just as bad as they treated their people. Some of them treat the animals better. Moving on to Tuesday, water from the rock. Charlie, can I get you to read Exodus 17, 1 through 7?
And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin after their journeys, according to the commandment of the Lord, and pitched in Rephaim. And there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Moses and said, Give us water, that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, Why chide ye with me? Wherefore do ye tempt the Lord? And the people thirsted there for water, and the people murmured against Moses and said, Wherefore is this, that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt, to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, What shall I do unto this people? They be almost ready to stone me. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go on before the people, and take with thee of the elders of Israel, and thy rod wherewith thou smotest the river, take in thine hand, and go. Behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted the Lord, saying, Is the Lord among us or not?
Again, goes into that tempting the Lord, though. And even when Jesus was did the 40 days without food out in the wilderness, that's what Satan tried tempting him with. But he's like, it is stated that we're not to tempt the Lord. You can't live by food alone. And yet, how many of us have, at some time in our past, grumbled, God, why can't you? He can. It's just a matter of whether it's His timing or His will. Just because we want it and we want it now, that doesn't matter.
No, it's all
It is. It's 100%. It's up to His timing and His will. But it could also be that we have, again, going back to that lesson, could be we haven't passed that test yet.
Well, appetite is a very strong kind of
Correct.
temptation for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah, especially, that's why the terminology hangry comes around. Oh, my stomach's grumbling a little bit, so I'm going to get angry at everybody else. It's like, how is that really helping? Because I could just imagine, back when we were doing the hunting and stuff. Oh, man, I'm hungry. Man, oh, man, what am I going to do? It wasn't that they would get hangry. They would just go and hunt. They would focus more. But we need to remember that because of where we're at, we need to focus on God. And we need to focus on not just on God, but we need to focus on His will. Yes.
I find that through the wilderness experience, God's main purpose for the Israelites is character transformation.
Mhm.
And obviously those lessons are for us as well.
Oh, yeah.
More than trying to get us into heaven, more than preventing us from going to hell, I believe God's main purpose is for us to reflect the loving character of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
He's just targeted on that with us.
Mm-hmm.
More than us having abilities, more than us having talents, it's that character transformation where He hones down and just tries to build us up. It's very important to Him. It's a big thing for God.
I think it's the fact that we need to learn trust.
We need to learn trust
Yes.
and patience,
And-
and that God is ahead of us.
Well, when everything is going our way,
Yeah, when
a lot
it,
of times we forget to say thank you. We forget to ask Him to guide our lives because
It's true.
everything's going our way.
but
It's not until we are at the lowest point in our lives that we are able to come to Him in the humility that He needs us to come to Him in the trust. It took me losing my son before I finally found God. And you have to be brought very low before you're able to hear God's voice.
unfortunately, you're not wrong, but, like I said, it's also the fact that we need to remember that whether you're on the valleys or the mountaintops, there's always another valley and there's always another mountaintop.
Yeah?
But with God, if we remember that God is in control of it all, He owns both the mountaintop and the valley.
Exactly.
That
When everything is going our way and we're handed everything, that produces to me a weak spirit.
well,
It's when you're going through the hard times, and you learn that strength that God gives you. It does create transformation.
Yes.
It really, really does.
Larry, you wanted to say something?
It's just something I was listening to this morning on 3 a.m., the Sabbath school lesson. They commented on the amount of water that God had to provide for them for one day.
Yes.
There was approximately 3 million Israelites or so.
Yeah.
And their livestock.
Yes.
And their livestock was about 2.5 Olympic-sized pools a day is what they needed.
Or more.
Water.
It was a great deal.
God.
In
He was
the
on
desert.
fire.
Yes.
Little stream.
Wow. I can imagine the food, how much manna he had.
Exactly.
And, that's a miracle.
but they kept forgetting, and that's why they had to wander the desert for 40 years. You know, yes, Charlie.
You know, I can sympathize with the Israelites
Okay.
because of what they had to go through. They were 400 years in bondage. How many generations is that?
Yeah.
That they had learned, well, they had withstood
Mm-hmm.
slavery. They had everything, really. They were able to eat. That shows us that in the scriptures. And then all of a sudden, they're out in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
where's our next meal coming from?
no skill.
You know, they didn't really know God. They didn't know His power. They witnessed a lot of it,
That's right.
but still, they had a lot of Egypt in them.
Yes.
You know, so I think we, as a people, me, I'm just going to say me, I have Egypt in me. You know, I fall, I trip,
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord has been good. You know, He.
Amen.
My favorite scripture is Philippians 1:6, and He started a good work in me, and He's going to lead me all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
As long, you know, you're talking about trust. You know, as long as I trust in certain scriptures that I am able to memorize, because I'm not able to memorize a whole lot. You know, maybe John 3:16 and a few others, but you know, we all fall.
Exactly.
You know, we all trip, and God is always there. You know, I always see that hand,
Amen.
that arm
Yes.
reaching down.
Amen.
You know,
Amen.
so,
All right.
but, you know, and it's sad that there was a whole generation of Israelites that did not make it into the promised land. You know, 40 years you mentioned, you know, but they had to get a lot of that Egypt out of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, 400 years that they had it ingrained in them. I think a lot of it also has to do with, and I'll wrap it up with this, but I think it also had to do with the fact that while they were in Egypt, they were constantly working.
Sure.
And when they were out in the desert, they may not have been their hands may not have been working, and so they're doing okay, I'm taking care of my livestock, I'm taking care of my kids, but where's my food? Where's my carrot? You know, we all go through the same thing, you know.
And they weren't probably able to keep the Sabbath. They may have known about it, but they, you know, from
Maybe.
what we can, you know, from what I can see in Scripture,
They didn't know
were
it.
slaves.
Exactly.
They were at the mercy of the pharaohs.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
That's why I believe God on Mount Sinai had to do that big, glorious thunderings and all that.
Yeah.
You know, He does that to get our attention also.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Exactly. All right. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. Heavenly Father, thank you again for this day. Thank you for reminding us that, each of us has our own Israelite journey to go through. That we each have to get the Egypt out, as Charlie put it. We have to get out of our own heads, out of our own way, and listen to you. Please remind us each and every day that the tests that we go through, it's for our own good, for our own growth, so that we can grow to be more like you, to serve you better, and so that we are the vessels that you want us to be. We love you. We honor you. In Jesus' very precious name, amen.